Hello, it's Shiri, and welcome back to the Aligned in Action podcast. I just had to sit down and record this for you right now. I basically talked to a client this morning over messages and voice notes, and she was talking about how she's feeling really burnt out, really exhausted. Like yesterday was just this day when she felt like she couldn't listen to any more of the podcasts that she's been listening to recently to help her with her business. She didn't want to talk to anyone. She didn't want to talk to me, her coach. She just felt completely burnt out. She feels like she's planning her entire day down to a T, but that leaves her with like no energy. And yeah, she was just really struggling. And we talked about that a lot. And I helped her figure out what's happening there and how she can fix it. And I just felt like I need to share this breakthrough with you as well, like right now. And this is a pattern that I've noticed with so many of the women that I work with. And I know this is exactly what you need to hear right now as well if you've been feeling exhausted, drained, or like you're pushing a boulder uphill despite doing all the right things, quote unquote. Now, the thing is this. Most ambitious, high achieving women aren't struggling with discipline or motivation or even knowing what to do necessarily. Usually, they're struggling with massive energy leaks that are draining their life force before they even start their day. And I'm not just talking about physical energy, though that's part of it. I'm talking about your mental energy, your emotional energy, your creative energy, and even your spiritual energy too. Think about it like this. It's like trying to fill up a bathtub that has 5 holes in the bottom. You can pour in all the water that you want. It could be the best, highest quality water, but that tub is never going to fill up. And this is exactly what's happening to your energy every single day. You can have the perfect morning routine, the best nutrition plan, the most organized calendar, but if you have these energy leaks, you'll always feel like you're running on empty. And I noticed this in my own life about a year ago. I was doing everything right on paper. I was eating well, I was working out regularly, I was planning my days, I was planning my schedule, taking tasks off my never-ending to-do list, but I still felt completely drained, like I was constantly pushing against resistance. And what I found out when I forced myself to take time to actually reflect and journal about my life back then was that I had these massive energy leaks that were sabotaging me before I even started my day. I was, first of all, checking my phone first thing in the morning and also last thing before I went to bed and kind of absorbing other people's energy, other people's demands, like crises. I was also saying yes to things that weren't aligned with my highest priorities just to please others, to be honest. I was eating foods that looked healthy, but were actually causing inflammation and brain fog for my own specific body. I was also spending time with people who left me feeling depleted instead of energized. And probably most importantly, I was consuming information all of the time. Social media, podcasts, books, audiobooks, courses, programs, like always inputting, but rarely creating space to actually process and integrate. And today I want to help you identify your energy leaks and show you how to plug them because when you do, everything will change for you. Your productivity, your clarity, your decision making, the way you execute. It all improves dramatically when you're operating from a full energy tank. Let's talk about the 5 biggest energy leaks I see in ambitious, high achieving women. And I want you to be honest with yourself about which ones are draining you right now. So, the first one is input overload. This is when you're constantly consuming information, scrolling social media, listening to podcasts, reading books, taking courses, without giving yourself space to actually implement or integrate. Your brain is, as we always say, it's like a supercomputer, but that also means that it needs processing time. If you're constantly downloading new files without ever closing tabs or running programs, your system will eventually crash. I had this client who was subscribed to like 15 different newsletters that she was reading regularly. She was following hundreds of like experts, quote unquote, on social media. She had a stack, literally a stack of personal development books on her nightstand. She was constantly consuming information about how to improve, her life, her business, her career, but never actually had the energy to implement any of it. She was literally reading self-development books before bed. Like that is the worst energy leak possible, and I love self-development. When we cut her information intake by 80% and created specific implementation windows in her week, her energy and execution really skyrocketed. So that was our first energy leak. The second energy leak is draining relationships. I want you to look at your calendar, or if you don't keep a calendar, just look at your life right now. How many meetings, calls, or even like coffee dates do you have with people who actually drain your energy? People who leave you feeling depleted, doubtful of yourself, or just really emotionally exhausted. As ambitious women with big goals, we often feel obligated to maintain relationships or even like professional connections, even when they're costing us our precious energy. I had this awakening myself when I realized I was spending hours every week, every Saturday, socializing with friends in our local community. So I personally, honestly, often work 6 days a week, and Saturdays are my only days off. And honestly, as an introvert, I do need the time to myself. I really do. But up until like a year ago, I just felt obligated. Like I felt like I had to fill up my social cup because the whole week I was working. And I felt like I had to kind of please my husband because my husband is a social butterfly and he thrives off of these like social events, connections, meeting people. But what I realized is that a lot of those people that are in our local community, like a lot of them are like my husband's friends, simply just aren't my people. Like I used to go every Saturday to meet up with everyone. Like we would go to friends for like lunch or dinner, stuff like that, or host them. And I just felt like I was feeling completely drained by the end of it. And the reason for that is that, yeah, I just didn't find the conversation with these people or even their energy something that I needed. Like their energy was depleting me instead of, lifting me up. And what I do nowadays, I rarely go to those Saturday meetups with our friends anymore. What I do is I make sure to fill up my social cup during the week with friends and even colleagues who actually fill me up and lift me up. So what I found was that I'm not actually, because I remember for a while I was thinking, am I antisocial? Like my husband used to tell me, you're very antisocial, like you literally never meet people. No, it's just those specific people I just didn't find matched my energy. A lot of these people were kind of like your average people, which like no shame, but kind of employees, full-time, part-time, whatever. A lot like all of the women are moms and all the conversations were about being moms. And I'm a mom myself, but honestly, I just don't find these conversations interesting. Conversations that I do find interesting are conversations about big goals, self development, growing my business, improving my life. And those people were just kind of complaining about their salaries or just talking about their annual holiday. Not something that I found interesting. Over the past year, though, I have actually found friends that are in the same line of work that I do. A lot of them are coaches or entrepreneurs, business owners with big goals. And what I do is I make sure to schedule times to meet them during the week, whether that's face to face if they live around me, or on Zoom or on the phone, whatever. And those conversations actually fill me up so much. And then Saturdays are for me to rest. In this way, I don't only reclaim those few hours of being out socializing that I used to do every Saturday, but also honestly, the additional probably 3 to 5 hours later that it used to take me to recover from the energy drain afterwards. So this was energy leak number 2. Energy leak number 3 is misaligned nutrition. Now, this isn't about eating healthy, quote unquote, by some generic standards. It's about eating in a way that fuels your unique body and brain. So many women I work with used to follow nutrition advice that looks really good on paper, but it actually, causes inflammation, blood sugar crashes, hormone disruption, all of these things. They were drinking their green smoothies and eating their salads, but they still felt foggy, they still felt fatigued, and they were still crashing at like 3 p.m. every single day. And what I do with a lot of my clients is we dial in personalized nutrition that actually works for their individual biochemistry. We focus on protein, on blood sugar stability, on identifying personal food sensitivities and triggers. And once we do that, their energy completely transforms. We're talking about waking up, refreshed, maintaining steady focus throughout the day, and still having energy for their families or for creative projects in the evenings as well. Energy leak number 4 is nervous system dysregulation. And this is huge, and almost nobody's talking about it, to be honest. When your nervous system is stuck in fight or flight mode, you are burning energy at an alarming rate just to maintain basic functions. And I see so many women who are doing breath work, meditation, yoga, but their nervous systems are still constantly activated because they haven't addressed the root causes of that activation. Real nervous system regulation isn't just about these calming practices that you do every once in a while. It's about setting actual boundaries and not just talking about them. It's about processing stored emotions and experiences in the body. It's about creating environments that signal safety to your primitive brain. It's about establishing consistent, predictable rhythms that your nervous system can rely on. When one of my clients committed to a 2-week nervous system reset, which included deleting social media apps, setting up auto responses on her email, creating deliberate daily rituals, creating anchors for when she was feeling overwhelmed, and doing some other specific somatic practices, she told me that she felt like she'd been given a completely new body and mind. Tasks that used to take her hours suddenly took 30 minutes because she wasn't fighting her own internal resistance. So this is a really, really important one. And finally, energy leak number 5 is misaligned action. And this is also a really, really important energy leak to talk about. When you're taking actions that aren't aligned with your highest self, when you're doing things because you think you should rather than because they're genuinely right for you, you create internal friction that drains your energy at a really astronomical rate. Think about how exhausting it is to constantly override your own intuition or to force yourself to follow someone else's path when it doesn't feel right for you. I had a client who was building her business based on what a high profile coach told her was the right way. She was creating content that she honestly hated. She was offering services that didn't light her up. And she was marketing in ways that made her feel really sleazy. When we scrapped the whole plan and rebuilt her business based on what actually felt energizing and aligned for her, not only did her business grow faster, but she suddenly had energy she didn't even know she had. She didn't even know that was possible for her. And why is that? That's because she wasn't wasting energy fighting herself every step of the way and every single day. So, what do we do about these energy leaks? I have a 3-step process that I use with my clients to plug them. And I want you to try this for yourself this week. Step 1 is auditing your energy. For the next 3 days, I want you to carry a small notebook or use a notes app on your phone. Every time you feel your energy drop, I want you to document A, what you were doing, B, who you were with, in person or virtually, C, what you had eaten in the previous 2 to 3 hours, D, what thoughts were running through your mind. After 3 days, you'll start to see patterns of exactly where your energy is leaking. Then the next step is setting energy boundaries. Once you've identified your specific energy leaks, it's time for you to set these boundaries. And I mean real enforced boundaries, not just good intentions. This might look like deleting certain apps from your phone, setting specific input hours where you allow yourself to consume content, rescheduling or declining meetings that consistently drain you, creating a personalized energy supporting nutrition plan, and setting up your environment to support nervous system regulation. And finally, you need specific practices to reclaim your energy when it inevitably gets drained. Because let's be honest, even with the best boundaries, the best intentions, life still happens. And here are some of my favorite practices for reclaiming your energy. Firstly, a 5-minute, not longer, 5-minute somatic reset meditation that accesses your parasympathetic nervous system. I'm also a big fan of strategic movement that releases tension from your body. Specific breath work patterns as well that quickly shift your energy state, like box breathing, for example. And also energetic protection visualizations before entering potentially draining situations that you can't avoid. And what I need you to understand is you don't need more discipline, you don't need more strategies, and you don't need to push harder. What you need is to stop the energy drain that's happening right under your nose every single day. Because when you plug these leaks and reclaim your energy, it all becomes easier. You don't have to force yourself to take action. You just naturally want to move forward. You don't have to struggle to stay focused. Clarity becomes your default state. And obviously, we do this in conjunction with working on your identity. This is what true alignment is about. It's not about forcing yourself to do more, but it's about removing the blocks that are preventing your natural energy from flowing. I'm so passionate about this because I've seen the transformation both in my own life and with the women I work with. When you reclaim your energy, you really reclaim your power. And when you're operating from a place of full power, honestly, nothing can stop you. You become unstoppable, not because you're pushing harder, but because you're finally removing the obstacles that have been holding you back. And this energy work is actually one of the core foundations of the transformation I create with my clients. And I've been working on something really, really special behind the scenes that dives deep into this exact process. I'm not quite ready to reveal all the details yet, but if you're resonating with this episode and you want to be the first to know when I open up this opportunity, just DM me on Instagram the word align. My Instagram handle is at coach.sheary. I will be releasing limited spots in the next few weeks. And I want to make sure you get access. And also, if you DM me Align and get on the waitlist, you will get a special discounted price that you can lock in for life. So this week, I want you to focus on identifying and plugging your energy leaks. Start with the energy audit that I described. Pay attention to where your energy is draining, and then get ruthless about setting boundaries to protect it. Because the truth is, your energy is your most valuable resource. It's not your time, it's not your money, it literally is your energy. When you protect your energy and when you amplify it, everything else just falls into place. You can't pour from an empty cup, right? And you cannot create an extraordinary life running on fumes. I am so excited to see you reclaim your full power and energy, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.